for Nate Meltzer.
Perfect. Okay, I almost put my name in the hat to tell this story at the last slam, but didn't. And I have to thank Ander again. I think she's in here. She told her story. The reason I didn't is because I thought, you know, this happened really recently, and I don't know if it's too soon. Like, I shouldn't tell this. But she told her story about her fear of being a sex offender with the snakes and everything. And it happened like the Thursday before the story slave. So I was like, oh yeah, I can totally tell my story. So, excuse me. In January, this past January, I moved back to I came back to Asheville after some travel through New England. And it became immediately apparent that I needed to get a job. So I did the thing that some of you have maybe done if you're sort of 20-somethings looking for work, where everywhere I went, I brought my resume. And I'd ask, do you guys have any, are you hiring here? Is there any, can I just leave a resume just in case you are hiring? Great. So I did this. I was getting groceries actually at Amazing Savings. And did this whole move and actually got to meet the manager. And he asked me one key question, actually two. He asked me first, do you have a car? And I said, yes, I do have a car. And he asked me if I was a morning person, and I told him, no, I actually told him, yes, I'm a morning person, but I'm really not. I a little bit there. But 2 days later, I got the call from Amazing Savings that I had a job waiting for me. They didn't tell me what my job would be, but that was okay because it was a job, and I was excited. And this meant cheap groceries, which was really important as well. So I showed up for my first day of work at Amazing Savings, and I ended up working at the Sweeten Creek Amazing Savings. For those who aren't familiar, Amazing Savings is kind of a magical grocery store in the Asheville region. It might be beyond, I don't know. It's really great because they don't worry about spending a lot of money on cleaning the store, or, like advertising or aesthetics. None of that matters because they have the cheapest prices for groceries in town. And if you're okay with a dented can, for example, if you're not afraid of botulism, then you'll love it. So, yeah, so that's Amazing Savings. So I showed up at the Sweeten Creek Amazing Savings and was told I was going to be a stalker. I was going to be stocking the shelves. My aisles were the cookie cracker aisle and the can aisle. And I have to say, just from informal polling over the last, since my time starting there, I have to say probably about 70% of the people I've talked to say the cookie cracker aisle is their favorite aisle. So I was like, yeah, I stopped that aisle. For job training, I was given an apron, and a brand new apron, and I was given a price gun, and they said, be careful, people are going to try to take your price gun. So I was a little nervous from the start. I was like, I don't know what this means. Like, what's this place like? So I had a label on my price gun that said my name like this big. It said Nate, huge letters, and I guarded that thing with my life. So I was also told that the three things I had to remember as a stalker were to put likes with likes. So for example, if you have your Wausau crackers and you have some over here, say they're like the rye ones, and you have your oat ones over here, you want to make them be together. Even if they're different types, all the Wausau crackers go together. So likes with likes. I was told we didn't want any voids on the shelves. So that means if like a product gets taken and there's none left behind it, it's like a hole in the shelf, not attractive. So we want to make sure that there are no voids. And we also wanted to make sure that everything in the back came out to the front. So we weren't going to sell any goods if they were back in the back. So I had to try to keep the shelves as stocked as possible. And they were like jam-packed full of goods. So I began working at Amazing Savings. I wasn't a morning person, and at first it was hell. It really sucked. I'd get up at 6 in the morning. It'd be dark out because it's still January, right? And that was a really fun thing for me, waking up before the sun. My goal was to have my windshield defrost before I made it to work. So often I'd be peering through like a little porthole. And luckily no one was out at 6:30 in the morning, and I knew the route pretty well at this, after a week. So. Didn't run into anyone. Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it at first, not gonna lie. So, yeah, eventually though, I started to find ways to make Amazing Savings better. And I realized that I could, well, first of all, I'm in grad school right now. That's the reason I'm in Asheville. And I didn't actually move to Asheville to work at Amazing Savings, believe it or not. Amazing Savings is what's keeping me here to do grad school. So the great thing about Amazing Savings was that it's the complete opposite of grad school. So at the end of the day, I know that my cookie cracker aisle looks damn good. Whereas for grad school, at the end of the day, like, I may or may not have actually done anything. Like, you know, and sometimes I spend all day writing, and the next day I spend all day deleting, and it's like, what have I done? So, yeah, it's like very concrete results. I also learned which products to buy from Amazing Savings and which not to, and that was a key bit of knowledge to get locked in there. And this is like kind of the clincher. I realized I could listen to my iPod while I worked. So what I did is I'd have one earbud in my ear that faced away from the register, because that's where the manager walked. So he wouldn't be able to see. So I had my iPod in my pocket, and I'd have the cord snaked up through my apron, and I'd have it coming out like right here. It was like a CIA, like super CIA undercover, because I was working in Amazing Savings, right? Like that undercover. And I'd listen to podcasts all day. So for those Luddites or like technologically uninitiated, podcasts are basically radio that you can get whenever you want. It's on-demand radio. And there are some really good radio programs that hopefully will continue into the future if they still get funding in the future. So I listened to Radio Lab, which is like this really cool program. Yeah, Radio Lab. It sounds really cool, right? It's a program about science on the radio, real cool. No, but it's phenomenal. So I'd listen to Radio Lab, and I'd stock the shelves, and it was some intellectual stimulation while putting the cookies in order. Yeah, so it was great. And slowly over time, I started to really enjoy my job. Like, it was weird. It was weird too, because I'd call my friends from home, and we're all college graduates, and they'd be like, oh yeah, like, today my job as a reporter, like blah, blah, blah happened, and how was your day? And I'm like, oh, well, I did a really good job of stocking the water crackers. Like, they look really good. That was actually the other thing that made it better, is I learned how to kind of play with the job. So I got to be really good at stocking the cookie cracker aisle, because I think it was Faulkner who said that to be a good writer, you have to not be afraid to kill your darlings, right? So you write a really good phrase, and you have to be okay with getting rid of it. So I was like that. I was the Faulkner of Amazing Savings, because sometimes I'd spend like 2 hours getting all the crackers right here in order, and they were like impeccable, and they were like all up to the front, and they were like tucked in the back well. And then we get a new shipment in, and guess what? I had to move them all over, or rearrange them, and I was okay with that though. It was like, it's okay. And the other thing that I really enjoyed doing was trying to sell weird products that we get. We get some weird products at Amazing Savings. If you haven't been before, I recommend going just for the cultural experience of seeing what there's probably 3 tiers of products they get. There's the international goods, stuff you'd find like in Chile, that's somehow made its way to Western North Carolina. Literally, seriously. We also had some weird name stuff. We had this stuff. We had these crackers called whole wheat knockers, and I'm like, there's a reason these haven't sold well. They're named after boobs. And there were whippets, and I'm like, whippets. And not only do they have a weird name, they're gross. They're like these little cookie things with whipped cream and chocolate over it. Oh, whippets. So I remember this one time we had this stuff called Bible bread, and I didn't really know what this was all about either. I was like, does this have some sort of special feature? Like, well, if I buy this, will it become more spiritual? I don't know. But the Bible bread wasn't selling for some reason. So what I would do is I would take these products that weren't selling, and I'd arrange them in such a way to try to make them more appealing, and then I'd come in the next day and see if they sold. And when they did sell, I'd be like, whoo, yeah. That's right. I sold that Bible bread. So I started to like really love working at Amazing Savings. It was weird. And right around the time that I really started to enjoy working there, and it started to really look up, I started to also reflect a little bit on my schoolwork, and I realized I wasn't actually getting that much done for school, because it turns out I never actually became a morning person, despite trying. So I get up at 6, and I get home at like 2, and I'd be exhausted, and I'd shower, and I just like didn't have the brain power to delve into my research methods class. So I started to ask for time off from Amazing Savings, and first I tried to get 5-hour shifts instead of 6-hour shifts. They were okay with that. And then I took a week off to go to Arizona. My program is based in Arizona. It's like kind of an online thing, but not. Anyways, so I flew out to Arizona for that. Then I took another day off to present at a conference. And then I got the opportunity. One of the other things I do is lead backpacking trips and climbing trips over the summer. So I got this chance to go to the Southwest for a week of rock climbing training. And I couldn't say no to this. So I asked for time off from Amazing Savings again. And they were like, actually, this is kind of a lot of time off, but okay. I think somehow my manager thought I was flying to Vegas for a week because that's where my plane ticket to. I think he like got wind of like, Nate's flying to Vegas for a week, and I think they got this image of me like hanging out with strippers and like going to casinos and stuff. Anyways, so in the end, they ended up calling me into the office, and he told me that he'd have to let me go, which meant I was fired. I'd never been fired before, and all of a sudden it was like, it kind of stung a little bit because I grew to love Amazing Savings, and you know, like in any relationship, maybe if you're the one who's rejected, it like hurts, you know. Like I wanted to say no to Amazing Savings, not the other way around. So it wasn't meant to be, and then I had to tell my friends, yes, I got fired from the discount grocery store. Yes. But I have to say, all in all, I ended up getting a better job that started right around when this one ended, and it was a good sort of filler. And you know, I did happen to be in the Sweet Creek store the other day, and I was in the neighborhood, just happened to be like, you know, it's like, I'll stop in, like, see what it's like. And I have to say, the cookie cracker aisle did not look good at all.